Micah 2:1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. Call halal Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Wakaha Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. The would-be judges, the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathen, that have the appearance of the heathen. And to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. All right, you can see the name and the title of the video that's on the screen. I'm profiling the beloved brother's video. And this speech that this girl gives, which seems like it came naturally and unrehearsed, was amazing. And what she did was told the brutal, uncomfortable truth that so-called white people, self-proclaimed white people, the Edomites in the Bible, hate. They label truth hate. That's what they do. Or they'll label it CRT, because they want the false narrative of them being the heroes, the good guy who brought civilization and civilized everyone, when actually what they did was they brought blood, murder, disease, rape, robbery, and the taking of lands, and then established themselves as the new legal and righteous authority. Everything that they have on this planet today, this is how they got it. All right? Micah 2:2. They covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. Therefore thus saith Yahweh power, behold, against this family do I devise an evil. All right, so the family, what? The family of the Edomites. You know, the scripture says all of Idumea, which we'll read that. And in that day, one shall take up a parable against you and lament with doleful lamentation and say, we be utterly spoiled. He have changed the portion of my people. How hath he removed it from me? Turning away, he have divided our fields. And this is exactly what Esau, Edom did to basically to the Israelites and the population of the world, every place that they went, even to little islands where animals were. I just watched a video on how they completely annihilated Australia and different islands, not only of the people, but of the wildlife. These people bring nothing. They're a plague. They are a living plague. That sign, you know, they're a cancer that signs their name onto things that they didn't do. All right. And remove their names from crimes that they did do. All right. They seek deep to hide their counsel. All right. Let's get that. It's Isaiah 29. Because they'll use such colorful words when they colonize, when they covet and take lands from people unrighteously. They'll use words like discover versus conquered. All right. This is Isaiah 29:15. And it reads, warn to them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahweh, and their works are in the dark. And they say, who seeth us and who knoweth us? Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as a potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, he hath made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him, that framed it, he have no understanding. All right, so they think that they can just get away with what they've done, or rearrange and rewrite their crimes into tales of what's the word I'm looking for? Heroism. All right, instead of rape, rob, and murder. And then they set up situations to where they set people up to fail. The control of the music industry, the control of information, the rearranging and labeling of races according to color and according to their philosophies and according to their pseudoscience. These people's blessing was the sword. And through that sword, they used their blessing well to conquer and take over, other people's shit. That's what they've done. I think that's Genesis 27. Then we're going to just play this video because it speaks for itself. But what was necessary is to give the scriptural understanding before you hear it of who these people are. And it reads, I'm in Genesis 27. And Salakia. The point is in 40, but I'm going to start in 38. And it reads, and Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Because when you read down, Esau tried to come in and give a blessing and take a blessing that was no longer his, that he had sold. Not that was stolen from him, that he had sold. So, I love to use the analogy of the used car. If you sell your car to your neighbor on the next block, all right, and you find months later that you still have a set of keys and you need to run an errand, so you just decide you're going to use those keys that you still have, that extra set of keys, to just, go take the car and run this errand and come, and then you'll just go put it back. Well, what you don't consider is that you're stealing now. It's not yours. Esau, Edom, had sold his birthright, which was set up by the Lord for him to do so. And then when it came the date and the time to receive the blessing, he tried to go in and take the blessing that was no longer his. But the Lord had other plans. Genesis 27:39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of the heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and thou shalt serve thy brother. It shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke off thy neck. All right? So he got a temporary blessing. And that blessing was fulfilled when Alexander of Macedon, the Amalekites, the Edomite, conquered and put the Edomites in a position of power for the first time in their existence. And they've been in, and they fell. They were in power all the way up until the fall of Rome. They took down everyone. And then Jake rose up and took over for 1,000 years. And then Esau has rose up that second time. All right. When it says the red dragon that was wounded but did live. So Esau didn't die. Esau came back into power. All right. Via the colonial times. All right. When he came over from Europe and he came over to the Americas and started his whole rape, rob, murder, Alexander the Great type campaign all over again. This time he covered up the Israelites. That's when Job 9:24 comes into place. All right. When matter of fact, let me just read it and then I'll play this video. This is Job 9:24, and it reads, "The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof, if not, wherein who is he? Esau, Edom came into power and put his face up as the judges. Put his face up as being the righteous. Put his face up as being the Lord's people, when he's actually the opposite." So without further ado,
Europeans have always defamed heroes, because colonialism wasn't just about stealing land. It was about stealing memory. It was about rewriting who deserved to be remembered and who deserved to be erased. And when they couldn't erase, when the drumbeat of revolution was too loud, when the people refused to die quietly, they did what cowards do. They lied. They slandered. They distorted. They named every act of resistance a crime, called every rebellion disorder, every revolutionary a tyrant, every freedom fighter a warlord, because they knew something that most history books still won't admit. The heroes of the colonized were the executioners of empire. Let's be precise. Haiti, Toussaint Louverture, organized the only successful slave revolution in history. He defeated France, Spain, and Britain in battle. Yet French textbooks called him a loyal servant who turned into a dangerous extremist. American ones barely mention him. And Napoleon? They still teach his military genius. Not the fact that he re-legalized slavery and starved Haiti for embargoes for daring to be free. Burkina Faso, Thomas Sankara, renamed the country from Upper Volta, a name the French gave it based on a river, to Burkina Faso, land of upright people. He banned female genital mutilation, ended government corruption, and made the country food self-sufficient in 4 years. But go read Western media from the time. They called him anti-West, too idealistic, a dictator in disguise. Why? Because he told the IMF, World Bank, and France to go to hell. And that's the one thing Europe can't forgive. Sovereignty. The Congo. Patrice Lumumba's only crime was wanting an Africa that didn't bow. He warned that colonialism never left, just changed its clothing. Belgium tortured and assassinated him with CIA help. Then they kept his tooth. Yes, Europe literally extracted and hoarded his remains like relics. And for 60 years, European journalists called his death necessary. Only in 2022 did they reluctantly give the tooth back. A single tooth. No apology. No indictment. Kenya, Dedan Kimathi, led the Mau Mau rebellion against British rule. He was executed by the British in 1957. For decades, Britain called him a terrorist. They buried him in an unmarked grave. Meanwhile, they ran concentration camps. Yes, literal ones. For Kikuyu civilians, tortured children, and castrated prisoners. But somehow Kimathi was the savage? India, Bhagat Singh, was 23 when the British hanged him. The Empire called him a dangerous anarchist. Today they say he was too radical, because he didn't ask for freedom. He demanded it. The Philippines, Andres Bonifacio, founder of the Katipunan revolutionary movement, was branded by Spanish friars as a bandit. His crime? Declaring independence from Spanish rule and trying to redistribute land. Europeans always found brown revolutionaries more dangerous than brown kings. Because a revolutionary doesn't just want a crown, he wants justice. The Americas, every indigenous leader who resisted genocide was labeled a criminal. Crazy horse? Hostile? Sitting bull? Threat to order. Tupac Amaru II? Traitor to Spain. Tecumseh? Enemy of civilization. And civilization? The ones that used smallpox blankets and massacred entire cities? That civilization? Even their own exiles weren't safe from slander. Simón Bolívar, who liberated half of South America from Spanish rule, was called ungrateful by Spanish historians. Che Guevara, who challenged American imperialism in Latin America and Africa, was smeared for decades as a murderer by the same CIA that funded fascist dictatorships across the globe. Nanny of the Maroons in Jamaica, leader of guerrilla resistance against the British, was described as a dangerous influence on the slaves. Notice the pattern? If you kill for empire, they call you a hero. If you fight back, they call you a threat. They gave medals to the monsters who ran the Belgian Congo, but jail time to the men who fought to liberate it. They put Winston Churchill, who starved millions in Bengal, on the 5-pound note, and put revolutionaries in unmarked graves. Even their silence is violence. Europe has thousands of statues of mass murderers. Columbus, Leopold, Rhodes. But where are the monuments to Louverture, Sankara, Lumumba, Ya Asantewa, Queen Nzinga, Boudica, Nani, Kimathi, Bhagat Singh, Tupac Katari, Malcolm X? They don't just omit, they erase. They don't just slander, they sanctify their villains and bury our saints. And let's not forget, they even slandered the colonized version of Christ, Jesus, a dark-skinned, anti-empire, anti-moneylender, table-flipping revolutionary.
Wow.
Was turned into a blonde-haired, blue-eyed empire mascot. The same Rome that crucified him built cathedrals in his name. The same Europe that enslaved millions spread Christianity with whips and guns. They turned liberation theology into imperial doctrine, because even their religion is a rebrand. So when they call your heroes violent, when they call your resistance chaos, when they tell you you're rewriting history, remember, Europeans have always defamed heroes. Because if they ever told the truth, their whole house of cards would collapse.
And now the truth is actually being told. And their house of cards is collapsing. This is Isaiah 34:5. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, upon the people of my curse to judgment. Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, is a cursed people. And their favor and their blessing has come to an end, and now the curses are upon them. Deuteronomy 30:7. The sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, with the blood of lambs, goats, with the fatness of kidneys and rams. For Yahweh have a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. Basra was a chief city in Edom, right? But the Lord is telling you, and Edom is all over the world now, with many chief cities. Wherever they are, the Lord is coming for them, and definitely going to completely wipe out Babylon, because this has been their number one stronghold. And the unicorn shall come down with them, and the bullocks and the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. All right, so the unicorns being the satellites. This message, because I'm really angry right now. I'm going to do a PSA and shame YouTube for putting them on blast on their own platform, because they gave me a strike on my number one, on my biggest channel, which I'm now able to upload on it, for using a video that's on their platform and say that I violated policy of violence. This is a video that's on YouTube. It's their video. And all I did was put the video up, pause it, and then did a lesson. All right? And they give me a strike for something that's on their platform. Fraud. When you expose Esau, Edom, they vilify you. Just like she said. Isaiah 34:8. For it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance, and the year of recompense for the controversy of Zion. So she just told you that Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, put himself up to be the Lord and the Lord's people. So what does that say about the people over in the land of Israel? So with that, I'm going to give all praises, all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash, Kwam Yasharallah, Abad Babal.